Hello everyone, welcome to Education Nation. Today we'll be looking at a document that came out put out by Policy Horizons Canada in 2023. And it's called Biodigital Today and Tomorrow. And so this is an update of the document we read yesterday. One of the documents we read also put out by Policy Horizons Canada in 2020 called the Biodigital Convergence. This one's called Biodigital Today and Tomorrow from 2023. And just pull up the document we went through yesterday. That one's called Exploring Biodigital Convergence. You can find it on the Horizons Canada website. They also have a few videos, I believe. It's leading the way in the biodigital convergence. So let's look at the biodigital today and tomorrow. Exploring the transition towards a biodigital era, merging of man and machine, humans into cyborgs, transhumanism. It's what all the universities and colleges are teaching. It's where all the money is going. It's what they're learning in school. The younger folks know more about the biodigital convergence than do the, say, older folks and boomers. It's by design. They've been the young ones have been indoctrinated into this more than everyone else. We really are ignorant. Us older ones are ignorant of the biodigital convergence, and intentionally so. The COVID-19 pandemic is proving to be a powerful driver of change. It is spurring biodigital innovations such as nearly real-time biosurveillance of virus spread and mutations, virus tracking via smartphone, and messenger ribonucleic acid mRNA vaccine development at unprecedented speed. Biodigital convergence, the merging of biological systems and digital technologies, is changing the way we understand ourselves and the world in which we live. Building on our first report, Exploring Biodigital Convergence, this report lays out some of the changes we might see as the biodigital convergence matures and gives rise to new realities. It explores the potential impact of biodigital convergence on sectors such as health, food and agriculture, the environment, manufacturing, and security. It could have implications across many policy areas: global trade, healthcare, the shift to low-carbon economy, natural resource management, and many more. Policy Horizons Canada does not provide policy recommendations or advice. Guided by its mandate, it explores what might happen in the future policy landscape to help the Government of Canada develop future-oriented policy and programs and to prepare for possible radical and disruptive change. Right? Disruptive change on the horizon. We'll be looking into that. That's another document put out by Policy Horizons Canada in 2024 called Disruptive Change on the Horizon. We'll be looking into that tomorrow, hopefully. We hope you will find this report insightful and thought-provoking. By reflecting on what might happen, we can support Canadians and decision makers in considering which futures we want and which ones we want to avoid. On behalf of Policy Horizons Canada, I'd like to thank those who generously shared their time, knowledge, and thoughts with us. Biological and digital systems are coming together in profound ways, creating a new domain called the biodigital. Digital technology and living things are increasingly able to communicate with each other. We can embed digital technology into living organisms and incorporate biological components into new technologies. Genetic modification of the natural world for climate change mitigation, environmental remediation, and biodiversity conservation may, however, raise ethical considerations. The contours of the coming biodigital era are becoming clear. This report explores change drivers and how biodigital convergence could transform 5 economic sectors and areas of life, which are food, health, the environment, security, and manufacturing. It examines some of the changes we could see in each era, how we could experience significant disruption in the future, and what policy considerations might emerge. This report also discusses how the COVID-19 pandemic may be accelerating the transition to a bio-digital world. Traditional agriculture relies on land, water, and a suitable climate. In the future, foods could be manufactured anywhere in labs and indoor vertical farms. This could fundamentally reshape the agricultural sector, international trade, and migration, as well as people's relationships with land, animals, and food. Health. Biodigital convergence could rapidly advance targeted treatments and precision medicine based on genomic profiles, leading to improved and targeted preventative care, as well as highly efficient treatments for disease. At the same time, biodigital convergence also gives rise to inclusivity and ethical considerations, among others. The environment. Climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss are widely recognized as urgent global issues. Today's unsustainable production and consumption modes are endangering long-term socio-economic well-being. Biodigital capabilities could increase our capacity to connect with and monitor the natural world. It could also expand our understanding of the interconnectedness of all living things. Genetic modification of the natural world for climate change mitigation, environmental remediation, and biodiversity conservation may, however, raise ethical considerations. Furthermore, there may be unintended consequences involved with the release of modified organisms in natural environments. Security. Emerging biodigital innovations and capabilities are creating both new frontiers and possible concerns in the field of security and defense. With almost 5 billion people connected to the internet, digital surveillance and data collection have substantially increased over the last decade. The rise of biodata may add a new layer of complexity in securing potentially valuable personal data. The access to more data may also facilitate a criminal investigation and potentially create a more secure society. Manufacturing was historically based on factory workers who transformed natural resources initially extracted from mines, forests, and waters, or grown on farms. Differences in labor costs and the natural distribution of resources have influenced the shape of our far-reaching global supply chains. Biodigital convergence could transform the natural resource sector through new ways of making and obtaining raw materials and fuels, as well as new manufacturing techniques, potentially erasing pressure on natural resources. More localized production and distribution of goods and fuels could reshore manufacturing and reshape trade, disrupting trade patterns and supply chains. So just trying to scroll down here a little bit further. There we go. Okay, I think I'll go back here. Sorry about that. Lost my place. The COVID-19 pandemic is acting as a driver of change, accelerating the transition to a biodigital world. It has increased the awareness of biology and its array of uses among people, governments, and industry. It reveals the risks of misinformation and the need for bioliteracy. It pushes biodefense capabilities and national self-sufficiency to the forefront of government agendas, and it has forced societies to reevaluate the balance between biosecurity and personal freedoms. The speed of biodigital convergence in the coming years will depend not only on technological progress, but social acceptance. And the pandemic has shown that unexpected events can trigger rapid shifts in what is widely seen as acceptable or desirable. In the future, we may not see digital technologies and biological systems as separate, but rather woven together, further normalizing the biodigital world that future generations may inherit. Introduction. This report continues the work of our Exploring Biodigital Convergence Scoping Report, which explored how biological systems and digital technology are converging in ways that could change how we live, understand and make sense of our lives, evolve, and possible capabilities and characteristics of biodigital innovations. We identified 3 ways in which biodigital convergence is emerging. 1. Full physical integration of biological and digital entities. 2. Co-evolution of biological and digital technologies. And 3. A cognitive shift of biological and digital systems. So let's read them again. Number 1. Full physical integration of biological and digital entities. When a digital technology is embedded in organisms or biological components are incorporated into technologies, examples include robots with biological brains, digital implants in humans, and neurological control systems in insects. Digital technologies can enhance the natural capabilities of living things. 2. Co-evolution of biological and digital technologies. When advancements in one domain enable progress in another and vice versa, both digital technology and the natural world provide scaffolding for each other, furthering shared breakthroughs and a co-evolution. Examples include new understanding of how brains work, inspiring the development of neural networks and artificial intelligence, finding patterns in gene sequences that build our understanding of what genes do. 3. Cognitive shift of biological and digital systems, an evolution of perspective where we begin to normalize the convergence of the natural world and digital technology. We may see the two as an integrated new domain. Advances in our understanding of biological systems and in the creation of new digital capabilities such as AI enables the biodigital conceptual convergence. In this report, we delve deeper into how biodigital convergence could reshape 5 areas: food, health, environment, security, and manufacturing. We examine sectors in their current form, how biodigital convergence is changing each sector, what might change these sectors in the future, outline critical uncertainties and future possibilities, as well as policy considerations. During our work on this report, we lived through the first global emergency of the biodigital era. In the final section, we reflect on the COVID-19 pandemic as a significant accelerator for the biodigital revolution, increasing investment in research, raising public awareness of biological threats, shifting perceptions of what is socially possible, and putting public health at the center of national governments. The contours of the coming biodigital era are slowly becoming clear, and the transition to that era will inevitably be disruptive. Keyword disruptive. By thinking now about the possible trajectories of biodigital convergence, we hope to reduce risks and harness possibilities for Canada and the world. Well, it's what our government has been pouring our tax money into for many years, the biodigital convergence. We'll have to look into that, eh? Food. Traditional agriculture relies on land, water, and a suitable climate. In the future, foods could be manufactured anywhere in labs and indoor vertical farms. This could fundamentally reshape the agricultural sector, international trade, and migration, as well as people's relationships with land, animals, and food. As the world's population grows, demand for and trade in food are expected to rise. Many countries may face food security challenges brought on by climate change as extreme weather events and diseases affect traditional agricultural production. Regional conflicts may also disrupt global food production and trade. Food systems also have environmental impacts. Land use, deforestation, water pollution, and greenhouse gas emissions, while opaque supply chains raise the risk of foodborne illnesses. And it talks about how is biodigital convergence changing food, lab-grown food, cellular agriculture, 3-dimensionally printed, 3D printed, lab-grown beef burgers, lab-grown meat. In 2020, the world's first restaurant serving lab-grown meat opened in Tel Aviv, and Kentucky Fried Chicken announced plans to sell 3D printed nuggets. Companies are working on lab-grown salmon, tuna, shrimp, dairy products, pet food, and even human breast milk, a potential alternative to infant formula. Scaling bioreactors remains the main technological challenge, but Chinese and Israeli organizations are investing heavily. Individual diets based on DNA profiling, nutrigenomics, personalized dietary advice, 3D print biome-based bespoke sushi, vitamin pills tailored to people's genome. The decreasing cost of genome sequencing will make personalized diets and lifestyle choices more widely accessible. Precision and smart farming, vertical farms, Singapore has launched a campaign to produce 30% of its food supply by 2030 through lab-grown food and vertical farming. Companies from the US to China are exploring how clustered, regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats, which stands for CRISPR, technology might customize crops to particular conditions and improve resilience against climate change impacts. What may change in food systems in the future? Grow anything, anywhere, anytime. Lab-grown meat technology could be located anywhere, as can vertical farming, where artificial intelligence oversees gene-edited crops grown in precisely controlled environments. Nations pursue self-sufficiency. Food for thought. Our connection with the environment, biodigital convergence, could profoundly change people's relationship with land and animals. Over the centuries, conditions for agriculture shaped where people settled. Our growing ability to produce food independent of climatic conditions could shift what people value in land, as well as patterns of human settlement. Local food production technology opens up opportunities for remote communities to be self-sufficient and produce traditional foods in new ways. More land could be rewilded, while growing fish in labs could allow the oceans to replenish. Affordable lab-grown meat could lead to a shift in attitudes towards the ethics of factory farming and in our relationships with animals more generally. It could change the role of culture and ceremony in food production and consumption, how we grow, harvest, connect with, and experience food. The experience of food transforms. Critical uncertainties and future possibilities. Societal acceptance. Consumers may want to buy healthy. CRISPR gene editing. How might we benchmark ethical considerations and values alongside biodigital economic possibilities, business ecosystem? Could technology's increased role enable a dominant position for large tech companies in the agricultural industry? If so, how could this affect food supply chains and consumer choices? Labor market readiness. How will labor markets adapt if digitalization of food production makes certain agricultural jobs obsolete while creating demand for new skills? How readily will education programs for agricultural science and food science incorporate biodigital technologies like vertical farming, AI, robotics, or lab-grown food? We have policy consideration, food safety regulations and nutritional guidance, new types of food production, new categories of plant-based and animal-based foods, intellectual property and privacy, international trade, food sovereignty and supply chain, global compensation and protection systems may help prevent biodigital food cloning practices. For example, sequencing appellation food goods for local production or growing Kobe beef in a lab. Environmental footprint and spatial development, gene-edited crops and smart farming, sensors, robots could reduce fertilizer, pesticide, and herbicide use. Gene-edited crops, vertical farming, smart agriculture. New innovations may aid climate change goals. However, transitions can be costly and could increase the demand for electricity. Yes, all those data centers, taking up our water and our energy. For our health. Biodigital convergence could rapidly advance targeted treatments and precision medicine based on genomic profiles, leading to improved and targeted preventative care as well as highly efficient treatments for disease. At the same time, biodigital convergence also gives rise to inclusivity and ethical considerations, among others. Because you care about ethics. Healthcare costs are projected to continue increasing over the next 15 years due to factors such as population growth, reproductive problems, aging, degenerative diseases, and rising use of expensive newly patented medicines. The sector's labor shortages is expected to continue as demand for home care grows and healthcare worker burnout continues as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. On the current trajectory, hospitals and healthcare systems will continue to be overburdened. The scope of public health may grow, and emerging innovations may fall within the scope of health mandates, inflicting more pressure on public health systems. How is biodigital convergence changing health? Technological innovations in the biodigital space will continue to mature and combine. The following section outlines some innovations that could affect the integrated and complex future of human health. Since synthetic organs and digital implants, customized body parts and implants could offer new transplant options. In 2019, over 4,000 Canadians were on a waiting list for an organ transplant. Human organs can now be 3D printed or grown in genetically modified pigs. European Union regulators approved the first totally artificial heart in 2020. Artificial blood vessels could help treat cardiovascular disease. Artificial skin made from the stretchable electronics that can sense heat and pressure could improve prosthetics and skin grafts. Such technologies can enable people to only to fix medical problems, but to obtain customized body parts with enhanced capabilities. Brain implants that can be recharged wirelessly could transform the treatment of neurological diseases. Implanted chips are already being used to monitor health and unlock smartphones. Implants such as Neuralink could expand the human senses, allowing us to feel bionic limbs or interact with viral spaces in new ways. They may also lead to new treatments for mental illnesses like depression. Brain-computer interfaces allow us to communicate with AI-enabled devices. For example, it can enable blind people to perceive images through an artificial eye. These technologies could help repair or enhance the human body. The CRISPRization of humans. As a research tool, CRISPR gene editing helps us understand DNA's role in human diseases. Medical researchers are exploring its potential to fight viruses, destroy cancer cells, overcome immune problems that interfere with potential gene therapy, and treat conditions such as acne and blindness. CRISPR-off technology allows us to turn gene expression off, effectively stopping a person from getting a disease to which they are genetically predisposed, such as Alzheimer's. Further, it may be possible to turn off epigenetic markers while leaving the DNA strand intact. CRISPR may increasingly give people the ability to code their own DNA and that of their children. Some parents may wish to give their children resistance to diseases, enhanced intelligence, and other abilities. Public opinion research finds a high level of support for using the technology to prevent rare genetic illnesses in babies, but opposition to using it to improve a baby's intelligence. Support or rejection of gene editing depends in part on one's nationality, gender, demographics, religion, and education. Varying levels of ethical consideration and debate exist surrounding genetically altering offspring. There are currently widespread international bans on human use of the technology, but the World Health Organization has an advisory committee looking at global standards, including oversight and ethical considerations for human genome editing. Tracking human health in real time, the health tech market is actively innovating to find solutions that can support preventative health actions. Wearables that monitor physical health can increasingly track and compile more health data in real time. AI can track moods and mental health by analyzing our voices and facial expressions. Researchers are developing DNA testing kits that plug into smartphones and could help track disease. Machine learning could potentially process data in the cloud that is automatically collected from nanoscale sensors, monitors, and implants in a patient's body, increasing knowledge about the human microbiome. The tens of trillions of microorganisms that live inside the human body is leading to more treatments, research, and lifestyle prescriptions. What might change in healthcare systems in the future? As the biodigital convergence advances and matures, it could reshape health systems in significant ways. Regenerative medicine, we can observe the ability to regrow lost limbs or repair damaged organs in some animals like lizards and amphibians. The same cellular signaling pathways we find in animals capable of regeneration are also present in humans, and modifications may lead to tissue growth rather than scarring. Stem cell research is also on its way to growing whole organisms, starting with smaller organoids that can currently perform some function of the larger organs. Biodatabases. Need those databases. DNA databases could become a source of income and health security. In the coming years, it could be possible to relatively simple to collect DNA information using a smartphone. As biodata becomes more ubiquitous, questions surrounding who collects, uses, and retains and discloses it will become pivotal. Applications, smartwatches, and phones are already collecting biodata outside the traditional healthcare sector. An extension of this data collection would be commercial and consumer engagement with biomic or genomic data. DNA data marketplaces based on blockchains could emerge, allowing individuals or designated data trusts to share genomic information with corporations, academic researchers, and even governments in exchange for benefits or payments. Cryptocurrency. DNA databases could provide new insights into the complex links between genes and diseases. Genomic data could be a source of power or economic advantage in future economies as health and healthcare continue to increase in priority. Open biodata or platform gathering big data from individuals could support the development of new therapies, but may also create privacy and accountability risks. Opportunities to collaborate and share data for greater medical efficacy and care could face challenges in individual data protection and trust in the system. Genomic data could enable detection before the manifestation of disease, furthering long-term preventative cost savings in healthcare systems. The pharmaceutical industry may begin shifting away from chemical substances as a source of new drugs and explore manipulation of living organisms, DNA as treatment. DNA databases could become a strategic asset and input for the development of new drugs and therapies. Remote healthcare services. Canadians could access more healthcare services remotely. COVID-19 has brought telemedicine and digital health tools into the mainstream, making patients more comfortable using technology to manage their health needs. In the next 10 to 15 years, technological development and the increased proportion of digitally competent people could dramatically accelerate remote healthcare provision. Implanted sensors could monitor individuals' health around the clock, sending data to the cloud to be analyzed for diagnosis and advice, along with other data such as from air quality sensors in the workplace or mental health analysis based on online behavior. People take control of their evolution. Germline editing, that is, editing genes that can be passed on to the next generation, is currently banned in most jurisdictions. However, this could change over time as this technology more safely eliminates or improves resilience to diseases, which could improve well-being and reduce healthcare costs. In addition, emerging low-cost biodigital devices and services could allow individuals to experience at-home germline editing. As a first step, using CRISPR to edit out genetic predispositions to disease could be seen as an extension of the current pre-implantation screening practice in vitro fertilization. A next step could be to insert preferred physical or psychological traits with high precision by editing the parent's germline before conception rather than the embryo. In some countries, governments could seek to incentivize citizens to have their healthier babies. Over time, this may lead to a cognitive shift where people consider procreating naturally to be reckless. How we want to evolve as a species and what consequences could emerge may become important ethical considerations. Could eugenics, the process of eliminating undesired genes from a population, reemerge as a moral dilemma? Healthy choices, do-it-yourself biology, hacking their own bodies and minds, modify their germline, their future children. Biodigital convergence may open up new possibilities, allowing people to choose who they want to be by hacking their own bodies and minds. The growing availability and affordability of CRISPR kits, online open source resources, and affordable devices opens up new prospects for do-it-yourself bio to treat, alter, or enhance physical or mental capabilities. This could pose a major threat to public health, biosafety, and biosecurity. Unwise or inexpert gene edits could damage experimenters and, if they modify their germline, their future children. If it becomes possible to select children's traits and combine DNA inputs from multiple people, traditional motives and selection models for procreation could shift. Recreational implants that activate the pleasure centers of the brain may lead to a new form of addiction. People could choose to shape not only the health but the personality of children to embody belief systems. When exploring the do-it-yourself movement, ethical considerations and the possibilities of procedural errors could lead to unintended consequences. In the longer term, gene edits that successfully enhance human capabilities could lead to technologies that create a new superclass of humans, vastly widening societal and possibly equity divides. societal acceptance, security and privacy, lab-grown brains, could individuals monetize their DNA data on an online marketplace? Could DNA marketplaces shift the financial gain of biodata sharing from biodatabase firms to individuals? Economic rollout. How might policies, standards, and ideologies around the world differ? And what consequences or advantages in industry and socio-economic status could emerge as a result of these differences? Could uneven access to new human augmentation technologies give rise to new forms of economic growth, inequality, and discrimination? Could human augmentation contribute to productivity and be considered a competitive advantage? How would international labor and employment agreements respond to the possible uneven global adoption of human augmentation? The rise of biodigital convergence could affect many policy areas. The following are not policy recommendations, but rather considerations, questions, and thought-provoking ideas. So, role of regulation. Augmentation for work, school, or sports situations could give some people unfair advantages. AI outputs from black box machine learning could prove problematic in applying AI-based digital therapeutic technologies that can continuously learn and self-modify. It may be difficult to trust the outputs without ensuring a lack of bias in a diagnosis. Networks of biofoundries around the world could reduce the effectiveness of national regulations. Biodata automation technology platforms and cloud-based labs could make it easier for organizations to offshore some R&D functions to jurisdictions with or without ethical regulations. Biodigital innovations that have been developed in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, like health data collection and tracking and bioproduction, including vaccines, treatments, and supply chains, may be applicable to other public health situations. The multi-sectoral implications of CRISPR treatments may require further discussions about their ethics and possible uses in healthcare. Access to new treatments through public healthcare systems. So this always takes so much time to read through a paper. I think from here on I'm just gonna go to a few places I marked down. In the meantime, I'll just scroll down so you can stop it where you'd like. And I'll have the link for this down below, so you can read it at your leisure. And the environment. Internet of Living Things. I just want to go here and read this. CRISPR has been used to edit genes to store binary information, the kind used in computers, in DNA form, allowing researchers to encode the phrase "Hello World" into an E. coli cell. Microsoft is exploring the future potential to store data in biochemical systems. Theoretically, a gram of DNA could hold 215,000 terabytes of data, which people could read using portable DNA sequencers. So storing information in our genes. Lovely. It's where all the money is. All the jobs are at. The Biodigital Convergence. And no one knows about it. And we've had one election since this paper came out. This document. And do you remember any of the candidates talking about the biodigital convergence? Even though they've been spending a huge amount of our tax dollars to build this techno-enslavement system. The future is here. The Internet of Things, and we have the Internet of Everything, the Internet of Nano Things, the Internet of Bio-Nano Things, the Internet of Behavior, much more. The rise of biosurveillance. Biological threats require new ways of thinking about monitoring and border control. Right? That was a big thing, I guess last year about, or 2 years ago, about Canada's border control problems. So we had to beef that up with their surveillance systems and drones. With a significant increase in international trade, we may need to implement intelligent biodetection systems to monitor and give timely warnings about new viruses, bacteria, or other genetically engineered pathogens. New biosensing technology could be deployed at borders in an attempt to protect them against biological threats. Synthetic biology techniques and raw materials are dual use, raising questions about regulation of international trade in resources such as yeast cultures and algae strains. Raw biomaterials may need new types of border oversight and tracking as their end products could vary. Biological threats may impact national defense priorities such as as nations pivot to create biopreparedness. However, biothreats cross many policy domains, including environment, health, national security, and border control. Need to control those borders. Identity crisis. The ethics of DNA sequencing genomic data could have far-reaching consequences for economic competitiveness and questions of identity, equity, and discrimination. It is becoming financially feasible for businesses to create DNA databases of their customers and enable business models in which consumers trade their DNA data for free services. Firms currently track digital data to create consumer or even electoral profiles. Tracking biodata profiles could be an extension of this. With advances in genomic analytics, firms could access a bioprofile of who you are and gain a broader understanding of your identity. Moreover, genomic data could become a new form of digital authentication. Real ID. And it's here now. They already have Real ID. Security and surveillance could bleed into equity practices in ethical domains. Sharing individuals' genetic identity could create new challenges to equity if access to education or employment opportunities depended on whether DNA tests suggest suitability for a given career. Similarly, access to healthcare, insurance, or immigration opportunities could depend on DNA tests for susceptibility to expensive-to-treat diseases. Ethno-nationalist movements could discriminate based on DNA or create communities rooted in shared ancestry, leading to geopolitical divergence, social unrest, or new types of inequality and discrimination. As an individual's DNA gains importance, a black market in fake DNA evidence could emerge. People could avoid tracking by using CRISPR technologies to alter their DNA. More institutions may use biodata as a means of authorization, which could open up a new avenue for identity theft. Okay, national security. Disinformation and fake news about emerging biodigital technologies could contribute to changing social attitudes, behavior, and subsequently become a national security concern. You guys know all about disinformation. Here, disinformation operations. Robotic lab assistants can perform experiments 1,000 times faster than humans, enabling researchers to focus on the design and creation of genetically modified organisms. Data generated from testing new organisms train and optimize machine learning to predict biological system behavior and provide recommendations which could greatly accelerate the development of bioengineering. Costs are decreasing as online DNA marketplaces facilitate price comparisons between synthetic DNA producers. Synthetic biological materials are disrupting current methods of manufacturing. Innovation biomaterials include a fabric resembling silk produced by genetically engineered microbes, 3D printed bioleather, and wood biodegradable bricks made from mushrooms, bacteria mixed with concrete to self-heal and prevent cracking. Blah, blah, blah. It just goes on and on, all these wonderful things. Biologically sourced natural resources, decreasing cost of bioengineering, declining cost of gene sequencing, DNA synthesis and automation could enable a rise in open source, do-it-yourself biomanufacturing research. Talk about the circular economy. Economic rollout. Societal acceptance. Well, how can we accept anything we don't know anything about? As per the plan, business ecosystem, innovation systems, labor market readiness. Yeah, they've got it all organized for a long, long time. 30 years working hard on this. Schools, colleges, universities, industries. Big money. And Canada is leading the way. Okay, COVID-19 as an unexpected accelerator. The COVID-19 pandemic is acting as a driver of change, accelerating the transition to a biodigital world. It has raised awareness of biology and its array of uses among people, governments, and industry. It reveals the risks of misinformation and the need for bioliteracy. It pushes biodefense capabilities and national self-sufficiency to the forefront of government agendas, and it has forced societies to reevaluate the balance between biosecurity and personal freedoms. The speed of biodigital convergence in the coming years will depend not only on technological progress but social acceptance. And the pandemic has shown that unexpected events can trigger rapid shifts in what is widely seen as acceptable or desirable. In the future, we may not see digital technologies and biological systems as separate, but rather woven together, further normalizing the biodigital world that future generations may inherit. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, we have been living through the first global-scale biodigital experience. We are simultaneously encountering the profound evolution of biodigital innovations and witnessing the emergence of a new domain. The biodigital technologies discussed in this report exist today and will continue to evolve. They keep evolving very rapidly now. The extent to which they will transform our lives in the future depends in part on whether and how quickly they become more capable and affordable, as well as normalized and integrated into society. In other words, transformation is a function of technological possibility and social acceptance. And again, how can we accept something that we know very, very little about by design? Yeah, they want to keep us concentrating on the news events of the day, the psychological operation of the day, Charlie Kirk, whatever, your mass shootings, the war, World War, gonna be nuked, religious wars, trade wars. Yeah, let's be preoccupied with fake trade wars, and that's been an awfully wonderful psychological operation, information operation, perception management operation, with their narrative driving by their influencers, our influencers, and hacking our reality. And tomorrow I want to go into another Policy Horizons document, and it's called Disruptions on the Horizon. It's a very interesting document. We'll look at that one and see what they're predicting just shortly down the road. The biodigital convergence. Often social acceptance is gradual. As new generations grow up with different attitudes and experiences, sometimes events can trigger unexpectedly rapid shifts in what is widely seen as normal. The change in airport security procedures after 9/11 is one example of a security and travel protocol shift as a result of a profound event. The COVID-19 pandemic has prompted many rapid changes as a result of the circumstances we face, from the digital transformation of businesses to increased video meetings, online shopping, food delivery apps, telemedicine, and surveillance. Advances were made in mRNA vaccine deployment, real-time sequencing, and the global cooperation that led to the rapid production of vaccines due to pressures on the biotechnology sector. Yes, the jabs. And a lot of people saying that it's a bioweapon, but no, it's really a bio-cyber interface hooking you up to the AI through nanotechnology, biotechnology, nanotechnology, engineering technology, big data, electronic, photonic, biophotonic, plasmonic engineering. We'll be getting into that, and a lot to learn. So many different disciplines that in themselves are are very, very, very complicated, but just so many converging together thanks largely to AI. This pandemic is unlikely to be a once-in-a-century occurrence, as many factors such as climate change and population growth may contribute to more and possibly more severe zoonotic viruses in the future. Yeah, the bats. We don't want to get no more illnesses, viruses from the bats, the birds, the monkeys. The global risk of biothreats may rise, and experts may increase efforts to understand the variables that lead to the emergence of pandemics. So what might COVID-19 mean for biodigital convergence? A rise in bioliteracy. From the R number to mutations in the spike. Sorry, I'll start this from the beginning here, the beginning of the paragraph. People, government, scientists, and industry are talking about biology like never before. From the R number to mutations in the spike protein, concepts that were niche in early 2020 have become part of mainstream conversation. Well, actually, I've never had a conversation with anyone, and they wanted to talk about the biodigital convergence because they have no idea. By design, the rise in bioliteracy could facilitate discussing, explaining, and understanding emerging biodigital technologies like those explored in this report. Similarly, a rise in bioliteracy has contributed to environmental conversations and climate change initiatives, which have also risen in tandem with the pandemic. So COVID-19, mRNA vaccines, alternative immunization methods such as nasal sprays, biosurveillance sensors, genomic therapies, an increased understanding of the microbiome, which is your gut bacteria, toxic stressors, and the human immune system. COVID-19 has accelerated the use of biodigital innovations like telemedicine and health apps, and could prompt discussions about biosurveillance and environmental biosensors in the future. People have become acutely aware of the powerful and far-reaching effects of microorganisms. Public health has become central to every aspect of government, from the economy to the environment. Pandemic preparedness is now being considered by some as a national security issue, given the general acceptance that it is only a matter of time before another significant biothreat emerges. And now we get into misinformation risks. COVID-19 demonstrates how conspiracy theories can gain traction while scientists are racing to understand the nature of a new threat. Examples include harmful theories that COVID-19 is caused by 5G, and vaccines contain microchips controlled by Bill Gates, and fake cures and health advice like injecting yourself with bleach. Oh, do you know anyone that never heard of that one? People have to decipher mass amounts of information and make sense of the world through new information channels. Viral disinformation and conspiracy theories pollute our information environment. They shape the way a growing number of Canadians make sense of the world, which in turn influences their social, economic, and political decision. Sense-making drives what people think they know and how they make decisions. Misinformation bears the risks of backlash that could slow down or speed up the adoption of biodigital innovations. How we make sense of emerging biodigital innovations will affect the way the biodigital era unfolds. So yeah, they're worried about the information, our information environment. How's your information environment today? Oh, they have a term now. It's called information disorder. So you don't want to be accused of information disorder. You don't want to pollute the information environment. No, you don't want to pollute the information environment. In 2021, Canada proposed a $2.2 billion investment in the biomanufacturing and life sciences sector to strengthen vaccine production capabilities and healthcare innovations. We are seeing a similar focus on healthcare innovation and bioproduction around the world, France being one of the many countries investing heavily in this rapidly growing field. Public involvement in the pharmaceutical industry. And they talk about inequality in access to prevention and treatments. Clinical trial and approval processes for new mRNA vaccines were accelerated to an unprecedented degree. Synthetic biology companies and biofoundries have demonstrated their ability to rapidly switch their production capacity to raw materials for new tests and vaccines. Scientists around the world shared data on the sequencing of the COVID-19 genome and new variants. And pushed on everyone without informed consent. Conclusion. We are at the cusp of the biodigital convergence era where we use technology in biology today, but biology in itself is also a form of technology. It is programmable, codable, and alterable. The future of biology as technology could include programmable digital components. Digital technologies and biological systems are combining and merging in ways that could be profoundly disruptive to our assumptions about society, the economy, and our bodies. 5 sectors are set to transform with the onset of the biodigital convergence: food, health, the environment, security, and manufacturing. Beyond the transformation, we might see in those sectors exploring the impact of the biodigital convergence on specific sectors may reveal more systemic opportunities, challenges, and dilemmas societies will face. Biodigital convergence opens up new perspectives on how biological entities affect economies, how the natural world interconnects with sectors, how technology advances and enables new biological innovations, what makes for an ideal location for human settlement, what are our ethical responsibilities to the natural world, and other challenges and opportunities that may arise in our evolution as a species. Biodigital convergence also imposes new challenges and dilemmas. How should we coordinate international regulation approaches to avoid countries embarking on experiments with potential consequences that could cascade across borders? What might the economic implications on different industries, and how might it affect the competitiveness of countries? What implications might new human augmentation possibilities have on equity and discrimination? To what extent should we prioritize preserving traditional ways of life? We may be approaching a new era in which governance and regulatory frameworks include and target biodigital innovations. Thinking through a transition, broadly evaluating possible risks and harnessing opportunities could enable a better future for Canada and the world. Okay. So before we go, I just want to go quickly to a paper here. Let me find it. Okay. It would be here. Pardon for this, I'm not very adept at computer. Want to find the paper little article that talks about how Canada is leading the way. Here we go. And so we're talking about standards here. Canada at the forefront of exploring biodigital convergence, and the date on this is 2022-11-23, so from 1922, which was 1 year before the Biodigital Today and Tomorrow paper we just finished. This came out a year before that, so here we go. Canada at forefront of exploring biodigital convergence. The merging of digital technologies with biological systems is poised to create social and mass market changes. In the same way that the rise of digital computing in 1985 altered society at large, biodigital convergence is a new field of research exploring the interaction between digital and biological technologies and systems. Bioprinters that produce organic tissue, the medical use of digital devices in humans, and automated biofoundries factories for the redesign of living organisms are just a few examples. Standards have a vital role to play in assessing the long-term impact, benefits, and challenges of this new field. Canada is leading international efforts at IEC to investigate research and emerging market trends, and propose a roadmap for standardization in the area. IEC, I believe that's the International Electrical Commission, established the Standardized Evaluation Group Seg 12 on Biodigital Convergence, based on the work of Christel Vander Elst, Director General of Policy Horizons Canada and member of the IEC. Market Strategy Board responsibility for identifying technological trends and market needs in the IEC fields of activity. Policy Horizons Canada spearheads Canada's strategic foresight work on biodigital convergence. Standardization evaluation groups at IEC are responsible for evaluating the need to establish a committee or pursue other standards-related activities in the field. SEGs are made up of global sector experts within and outside the IEC community. This is the first time Canada is leading an SEG. Biodigital convergence is more than a technological change, says Vander Elst. It may transform economic and trade models in industries such as manufacturing, healthcare, and agriculture. It could transform the way we understand ourselves and cause us to redefine what we consider human. Standards play a key role in shaping what our biodigital future might look like. IEC appointed Francois Coallier, SEC, I think that's the Standards Council of Canada, governing council member to lead SEG 12 as convener. The potential impact on biodigital convergence on commercial sectors and our day-to-day lives is enormous, says Coallier. The opportunity to embark on this journey is a win for Canada. I'm both humbled and excited to have the privilege of working with pioneering experts from around the world. For more information on IEC SEG 12, there's the email address. About Policy Horizons Canada is a federal government organization that conducts foresight. Its mandate is to help the Government of Canada develop future-oriented policy and programs that are more robust and resilient in the face of disruptive change on the horizon. That will be our next paper tomorrow. And I also want to get into a paper that our good friend Mr. Francois Coallier, he was heavily involved in more up to date biodigital convergence and standards documents called World Standards Day 2023. A very interesting, important document for everyone to lead, because that's the push the standards, implementing standards for the biodigital convergence, the techno-enslavement, United Nations Agenda 2030. The potential impact on biodigital convergence on commercial sectors and our day-to-day lives is enormous. The opportunity to embark on this journey is a win for Canada. Disruptive change on the horizon. Established in 1970 as a federal crown corporation, the Standards Council of Canada is Canada's voice on standards and accreditation on the national and international stage. SCC works closely with a vast network of partners to promote the development of effective and efficient standards that protect the health, safety, and well-being of Canadians while helping businesses prosper. As Canada's leading accreditation organization, the Standards Council of Canada creates market confidence at home and abroad by ensuring that conformity assessment bodies meet the highest national and international standards. The Standards Council of Canada advances Canada's interest on the international scene as a member of the International Organization for Standardization, an International Electrotechnical Commission, IEC, by connecting thousands of people to global networks and resources, opening a world of possibilities for Canadians and businesses. And I'll also put this link down here. I had to get it up on Word and then download it. But I learned how to do that. It's awesome. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it off there. I didn't plan to go so long, but these there's so much in these documents that you end up reading these things all day, and it's so much fun. So much fucking fun. Apologies for my profanity. I better sign off now before I get in trouble. But I hope you all learned something today, and I hope you wish to explore further the future unfolding while we sleep, because our lives, the lives of our children, depend on us knowing, understanding, and getting together and fighting this fucking shit from these insane criminal psychopaths that are want to control everyone, every thought, every movement, every heartbeat, every cell, every molecule in our bodies, every cell and molecule in the world. And that's where we're at today. And as they push for 6G, and they just bring in 6G just like that. Well, they don't do it just like that. They bring it in gradually, and yeah, there's a lot of 6G. That's terahertz frequencies, and we're there now. I'm afraid. So yeah, I'll shut up now and wish you all the best, and God bless you all. Love you.